Today, I'm going to talk about the foods that every woman should know about because eating them can help naturally balance their hormones.
Today, we're bringing you insights from Dr. William Li, a globally recognized physician, scientist, and author who has dedicated his career to understanding the power of food in transforming our health. Dr. Li is the founder of the Angiogenesis Foundation, and his groundbreaking research, published in over 100 scientific and medical journals, has revolutionized the way we think about diet and its impact on diseases. Dr. William Li is not just any doctor. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Eat to Beat Disease, and his research spans over 3 decades, focusing on how we can use food to improve health and fight disease. Before we dive into the foods that can help balance your hormones, let's first take a moment to understand what hormones are and why they play such a critical role in our overall health.
First, let's talk about what is a hormone. A hormone is a chemical messenger that's made in your body that tells one organ or multiple organs what to do in order to function for health. Now, hormones can affect you physically, they can affect you mentally, they can affect you emotionally, and hormones can even affect you socially. There are social hormones that your brain actually produces. We're going to talk about some of those. Hormones are also key for sexual health and for function and for reproduction. So if you want to have a baby, your hormones have to work well, both if you're a man as well as if you're a woman. Now, how many hormones are in the body? That's a great question. There's probably hormones we haven't discovered yet, but as of last count, there's about 50 hormones that are circulating in a human body. Now, some of the hormones that you may have heard about are like thyroid hormone or cortisol, or of course, insulin for blood sugar control. Then there's the social hormone oxytocin, and estrogen, which you probably heard about, and progesterone. Now, I'll talk about these hormones, but let's start first with the foods that I recommend for hormonal balance. We're just going to give you some foods first, and then we're going to explain it all as we go along.
Now that we've covered the essentials of hormone health, it's time to explore the foods Dr. Li recommends for keeping your hormones in check. Make sure you watch the entire video, and trust me, you'll want to stay till the end, because the last food we'll discuss could be a total game changer for your well-being.
First, you need to eat foods that are a good source of protein if you want to balance your hormones.
Proteins are essential building blocks for our body and play a critical role in hormone production. They provide the amino acids necessary for creating hormones like leptin, which helps regulate appetite and energy balance. Additionally, proteins support the production of GLP-1, a hormone that controls blood sugar levels, aiding in the prevention of insulin resistance and maintaining stable energy throughout the day.
Proteins are made out of amino acids, and you need to put those into your body, and your body will break them down, and they will reassemble hormones out of those amino acids. So if you don't have enough, you're not going to be making proper hormones. So you need protein made of amino acids so that the body can recoup and capture those amino acids and use them to construct the hormones, the building blocks of hormones. Okay, so you want to make sure your body's stocked up. So what are some good basic sources of protein if you want to kind of make sure your body's got balance of your hormones? Well, some common good sources of protein are eggs. It's a myth that eggs aren't good for your health. Eggs, particularly organic free-range eggs, are actually really great sources of protein. And even though they have cholesterol in them, it actually helps you raise your good cholesterol. And all the studies have shown that, in fact, eating eggs in moderation actually lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease. So eggs, a good source of protein. Another good source of protein are legumes. So what are legumes? Lentils, edamame. They are great source of legumes, all right? And then, of course, you've got your meats and fish. Fish are a great source of protein if you're a pescatarian. Always eat lower on the food chain, okay? I like swordfish, but swordfish is high on the food chain. High in the food chain means that it might contain heavy metals that you get from the sea, like mercury. Big fish eat smaller fish, eat smaller fish, eat smaller fish. And what they do is they're actually accumulating all the heavy metals that are found in the sea. So eating lower on the food chain is always better. Okay, now, what about meats? Turns out chicken is a pretty good source of protein, right? If you want an alternative to red meat, that's beef or even pork, chicken is actually a great alternative. Now, if you want to get the best quality chicken, try to get it free range. all right? And you want your chickens to be humanely treated. Not only is that just good practice from a humanity perspective, but also chickens that are allowed to run around in their natural environment and eat natural things are going to be better sources of the bioactives. Their protein is actually going to be a better type of protein, and they're less likely to be sick. Now, chickens also have a gut microbiome, a healthy gut. And the problem is that when chickens are raised in big factories where they're put in small pens and packed next to each other, guess what? They aren't fed the right things. Their gut microbiome isn't healthy. And if the gut microbiome of a chicken isn't healthy, the chicken's not going to be healthy and their meat isn't going to be quite as healthy as well. So basic principles, we talked about eggs, we talked about chickens, organic, free range, always going to be the best. Legumes, another good source, proteins. Okay, now here's the thing. Eating proteins that can influence hormones can also influence and control your appetite, because one of the hormones that controls your appetite is called ghrelin. Okay, ghrelin makes you hungry, and hormone and protein also helps your body create hormones like GLP-1, and GLP-1 slows your appetite down. All right. There's another hormone called leptin that also slows your appetite down. Slowing your appetite is called satiety. And when you feel full, you're much less likely to eat or overeat a lot of food. All right. So that's actually key, because you overeat, you're going to overload your body's metabolism. You're going to overaccumulate fat, harmful body fat, and then it's going to be an inflammation. And now your hormones are going to be out of whack. So here's what you want. You want to be able to eat proteins that are building the balancing mechanisms. Okay, and this is both for men and women, but also women, we can't forget about the whole appetite issue, particularly as women get towards middle age. You want to actually make sure you're paying attention to this. Eating protein builds the hormones that allow your appetite to be balanced. Ghrelin makes you hungry. That's a hormone that requires protein. And leptin makes you full. And the hormone GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, is another hormone that actually makes you feel full. Now, by the way, if you think you've heard of GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, that's probably because you have. GLP-1 is the natural hormone made by your body to be able to slow appetite down. It's one of the functions of GLP-1. It's got other functions as well. But GLP-1 slows your appetite down. It's kind of like a protein, a hormone that actually pushes a button that says, hey, you're a little bit full, stop eating, all right? Guess what? Those prescription weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, etc., they are what we call GLP-1 agonists. So they are kind of like GLP-1, but they push that button as well to make you full. That's one of the reasons that these prescription weight loss drugs help you lose weight. Naturally, your body's going to make these as well. So if you really want to have a balanced appetite and you're not overeating, if you overeat, you're going to tip your metabolism over, and now you're not out of balance as well. So eating protein helps build the hunger hormone and the fullness, the satiety hormone. That's what you call balance.
As Dr. Lee mentioned, incorporating a variety of protein sources like eggs, legumes, fish, and chicken into your diet is crucial for maintaining hormone balance. These foods not only support physical health, but also contribute to mental well-being by aiding the production of mood-regulating neurotransmitters.
The next food I want to talk about are colorful vegetables.
Colorful vegetables, especially those in the brassica family, are powerhouses when it comes to supporting hormone detoxification. These vegetables contain glucosinolates, which convert into active compounds like sulforaphane, aiding the liver in metabolizing and eliminating excess hormones, such as estrogen. This detox process is vital for preventing hormone imbalances that could lead to issues like PMS or estrogen dominance.
Well, colorful vegetables, like I always think about sweet peppers, right? Yellow peppers, red peppers, orange peppers, green peppers. To me, that's a great example of a single food that has different colors to it. But then actually, if you think about all the other types of vegetables out there, you got your carrots and you've got your Swiss chard. They've got all kinds of different colors to them. They not only have prebiotic bioactives, polyphenols, but they also tend to have a lot of dietary fiber. Let's first talk a little bit about the colors. The colors from the polyphenols, those prebiotic polyphenols, They feed your gut microbiome. Now, your gut microbiome, this is 39 trillion bacteria that live in your gut. Healthy bacteria, okay? When I was in medical school, I was taught that must kill bacteria, bacteria are all bad. Wrong. Most of the bacteria that we encounter in our lives actually are inside our gut, and most of those bacteria are good. But you want to actually keep them happy and well fed. A good gut microbiome is like a happy neighborhood of good citizens that live together and they're productive together. They make sure everybody is safe and happy. And when you actually feed them polyphenols, some colorful vegetables, you're keeping your gut microbiome happy. Now, what's the role of the gut microbiome in hormones? We are actually just now starting to do the research to figure this out, but it's absolutely clear that a good, healthy gut microbiome is very important to keep your hormones balanced. All the hormones seem to be affected by the gut microbiome. Wherever we look, if you want to balance your hormones, you want to have a good, healthy gut microbiome. And where you find hormones out of balance, right? So you might see this in menopause. You might see this in hypothyroidism. Guess what? What we're finding is that the gut microbiome is somehow involved. That's that dastardly problem called dysbiosis. Dys meaning out of whack, biosis relating to the natural balance within the gut microbiome. So when that gut microbiome's out of balance, you wind up having problems with your hormones. So you want to actually feed that gut bacteria with colorful vegetables containing polyphenols and dietary fiber. The dietary fiber is actually the core food. Okay, if you have a pet dog, okay, this is your dog food, the dietary fiber to keep your pet dog, or in the case of your gut, your gut bacteria, happy, well-fed, and well-functioning. That's key for hormonal balance. Now, what are some of the vegetables that I really want to emphasize are really beneficial for gut health and therefore hormonal balance and health? Well, there's a whole group of vegetables you should know about called brassica. Brassica, brassica. So what are some examples of these? All right, you go to the produce section and you ask the produce manager, hey, you have any brassica here? And what he or she will do is point out broccoli, broccoli rabe, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, and collard greens. And by the way, you can also get the sprouts from these as well, broccoli sprouts, kale sprouts. I actually go to the farmer's market and I will often find in the springtime broccoli sprouts or kale sprouts, which are absolutely delicious. Okay, these brassica have a lot of prebiotic polyphenols. One of them is called isothiocyanates. They are important for gut health. They're good for metabolic health, metabolic balance, and they actually help to fight harmful body fat, which lowers inflammation in your body, which then helps your hormones stay in balance as well. You see, this is actually like a complicated orchestra with a lot of different instruments. Your hormones and your organs and your cells are all kind of playing a beautiful orchestral sound. And when one instrument is out of balance, it can actually affect the other instruments as well. And so the whole piece actually sounds out of tune. And this is why you want to actually keep those hormones balanced.
By regularly consuming these colorful vegetables, you're not just supporting hormone detoxification, you're also boosting your intake of fiber, which helps expel metabolized hormones from the body. This ensures that your hormones stay balanced, promoting overall health and reducing the risk of hormone-related disorders.
What's another source of dietary fiber that's really good? Because brassica also have a lot of dietary fiber. But here's another food that you should know about. Mushrooms.
Mushrooms are a unique food group that offers significant benefits for managing stress hormones like cortisol. They are rich in adaptogens, which help the body cope with stress and maintain balance. Mushrooms also provide selenium, a mineral crucial for thyroid function. The thyroid gland is responsible for producing hormones that regulate metabolism and energy levels.
I love mushrooms. Mushrooms, even though they're soft and wiggly when you actually cook them, they are a great source of dietary fiber, a soluble fiber called beta-D-glucan. And beta-D-glucan does a lot of things. It activates your body's health defense systems, which I wrote about in my book, Eat to Beat Disease, and also good for your metabolism, which I wrote about in Eat to Beat Your Diet. But here's the thing. The dietary fiber in mushrooms feeds your gut microbiome, better gut health, better hormonal balance. What kind of mushrooms? Well, I can tell you that even the lowly white button mushroom is beneficial, all right? But there are other culinary mushrooms that you're going to encounter very easily when you go to the grocery store, you go to the farmer's market, all right? And what are some of these things? Shiitake mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, crimini mushrooms. These are really common. Porcini is kind of a gourmet mushroom. I love all porcini. They're absolutely delicious. And by the way, you can also get mushrooms fresh, but you can also get them dry. Because fresh mushrooms, if you have a local mushroom grower, or you can get mushrooms grown sort of in a dark place on these logs, that's one thing. You can get farmed mushrooms. But in the fall and winter, especially getting into the winter, fresh mushrooms might be hard to come by in some places. In which case, guess what? Dried mushrooms actually have the beta-D-glucan just in dried form. And in fact, arguably, if you're cooking with mushrooms, the dried mushrooms even have more potent flavor, right? So dried porcini, you can make a risotto out of that. I like to cook, so I like to talk about foods. Now, maitake mushrooms are also a kind of meaty mushroom. It doesn't have a stem. It's just kind of like this, looks like a piece of coral from a coral reef. Let's talk about mushroom parts for a second, because I think this is actually something that might be interesting and useful for you to know about. That beta-D-glucan that I talked about is present in all of the mushrooms. Now, when you actually get a mushroom, like a plain old white button mushroom, right? What do you normally do when you bring them home from the store? You clean them up. You want to clean them up, rinse them off. And what do? You cut off the stem, and you're going to cook with the top, right? Then you slice up the top, or you throw the top in. And it used to be, all right, and me too, I'd throw away the stems. But what we've done now is looked at the research to figure out where is that beta-D-glucan. So the cap, the mushroom cap, the top, it's got beta-D-glucan. It's got a lot of it, which is why we love to eat the top of the mushroom. Tasty too. But guess what? The stem of the mushroom, which is called the stipe of the mushroom, S-T-I-P-E, the stipe of the mushroom has twice as much beta-D-glucan. So if you're going to buy mushrooms, right? Cook with the top, eat the top, but also save the stem and do something with the stem. If you look at cultures in Asia or cultures in the Mediterranean or in Latin American countries, they actually use every part of their food, and mushroom stems can be used to make something really delicious in a dish. If you don't know what to make with it, when in doubt, put it into a food processor, and you can puree it and actually turn it into a mushroom soup, which you can then flavor up in all kinds of different healthy ways. And you'll still get the soluble fiber, the beta-D-glucan. Okay, so that's another little kind of like a pro tip when it comes to mushrooms.
Incorporating mushrooms into your diet can help modulate cortisol levels, reducing the harmful effects of chronic stress. Their selenium content also ensures that your thyroid functions optimally, which is key for maintaining a healthy metabolism and hormonal balance.
What about another source of dietary fiber that's actually good for your gut health, which is good for hormonal balance? Avocados.
Avocados are not only delicious, but are packed with healthy monounsaturated fats that are essential for hormone production. These fats are necessary for the synthesis of steroid hormones, including estrogen and progesterone. Additionally, avocados contain plant sterols that can help regulate estrogen levels, making them especially beneficial for women's hormonal health.
Who doesn't like an avocado, right? Like avocado toast, avocado just plain, avocado cut up in your salad. Avocado is actually really, really great. Avocado, even though it's kind of mushy and green, it's a great source of dietary fiber. Who would have thought that, right? So your guacamole is actually quite healthy, all right? And it's got healthy fats in it as well, another benefit of avocado. Okay, so just to kind of recap, foods that are loaded with polyphenols, colorful foods, and dietary fiber are good for gut health. Good gut health, good hormonal health, helps to keep everything in balance.
Adding avocados to your diet can help support a healthy balance of cholesterol, which is vital for producing the hormones your body needs. The nutrients in avocados, such as potassium and magnesium, also play a role in maintaining stable blood pressure and overall cardiovascular health, further contributing to hormonal balance. Before we dive into this final category of hormone balancing foods, I just want to remind you, if you're finding this information helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring you more valuable content just like this. Now, let's move on to the last, but certainly not least category of foods that can make a huge difference in your hormone health. Trust me, this one could be a game changer.
Let's talk about another category of foods that can help keep hormones in balance, and that is your omega-3 fatty acids.
Omega-3 fatty acids are well known for their anti-inflammatory properties, which are crucial for maintaining hormonal balance. Chronic inflammation can disrupt the body's ability to regulate hormones, leading to conditions like insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. Omega-3 fatty acids help produce anti-inflammatory prostaglandins, which counteract stress hormones like cortisol, helping your body manage stress more effectively.
Sometimes they're called PUFAs, P-U-F-A. That stands for polyunsaturated fatty acid, okay? And the name is accurate. These are healthy fats. Now, you can get these healthy fats from plant-based foods, okay? You get the precursor, linoleic acid. Chia seeds have them as an example. When you eat them, your body has to convert the linoleic acid from the chia seed. It converts it into omega-3s, all right? And it's actually a useful thing if you're a vegetarian or you're a vegan to know that seeds like chia seeds can actually be a good source of omega-3s. But if you actually eat fish, that's where the most abundant omega-3s like get you, just like delivers it right home, right target, hits the bullseye every time as you eat seafood. Now, seafood with omega-3s used to be considered oily fish, right? I mean, how many of you have heard about eat the oily fish, mackerels and anchovies and sardines? Now, I actually happen to like all of them, but I know that many people don't really like seafood and many people don't like those kind of smaller oily fish. But I can tell you from research that I've done and that I wrote about this in my book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, which isn't a diet book. It's actually a book that tells you how to avoid having to get on a diet. It turns out that some of the larger fish, the white flaky fish, the fish that people like, cod, haddock, are all actually really, really laden with omega-3s. In fact, you can eat just basically a plain card deck worth of cod, and you can actually get a good whopping dose of omega-3s. Now, salmon has obviously got omega-3s as well. And salmon, even though it's a little higher in the food chain, is a healthier meat because it doesn't actually tend to accumulate those high levels of heavy metals from the sea. But cod is a good substitute. Hake, as I mentioned to you, is also another white fish, very mild tasting. If you're not somebody who really likes fishy fish, try cod, try hake. These are really halibut. These are very benign fish, and actually they're quite tasty if they're cooked the right way. I always tell people, if you think you don't like seafood, really, the problem is that you just haven't had it properly prepared in a delicious way. And so give yourself a chance to enjoy seafood. Now, let's say you say, well, I like seafood, but I actually like shellfish more. I like shrimp, I like oysters, I like clams, mussels. Guess what? You are in luck because my research has shown that even shellfish, like mussels and clams, can actually, and shrimp, have omega-3 fatty acids. So you can actually get what you need in order to be able to get those omega-3s that help to balance your hormones from shellfish as well. By the way, this also goes to octopus, to squid, to lobster. Okay, I know that most people don't eat lobster. It's a kind of expensive food. But guess what? What I'm trying to get to you is that the whole spectrum of seafood actually can give you omega-3 fatty acids because omega-3s actually come from plankton, which are, kind of the plants of the sea. And then small fish eat them, bigger fish eat the smaller fish, and then their flesh accumulates the omega-3 fatty acids. And this goes for shellfish and shrimp as well. Now, if you totally don't like seafoods of any sort or can't get it, most people can get it. Frozen fish, by the way, is as good as fresh fish when it comes to omega-3s and the quality of the meat as well. But you can also get omega-3s from as a supplement. So that's actually another way to get omega-3 fatty acids. All right. Why am I spending all this time talking about omega-3s? Well, because omega-3s have been shown to help regulate a very important hormone in your body called cortisol. Cortisol is made by your adrenal glands, all right? And your adrenal glands are basically sort of like a sunny side up egg that's sitting on top of your kidneys. So here's your kidney and here's the adrenal gland sitting right on top of it. Another analogy would be like an owl perching on a tree stump, or a sunny side up egg, sort of like piled on some hash browns, whatever. Okay, these are the glands that are making hormones. They sit on top of your kidneys. And when they produce cortisol, guess what? Your cortisol helps to control your metabolism. So if you're a woman and you want balanced hormones, I know that most people start talking about reproductive hormones, but I'm talking about cortisol, because cortisol needs to be balanced in order to have a balanced metabolism. And cortisol also helps to balance your blood pressure. Women, actually, especially as they get older, are prone to having high blood pressure, hypertension. Cortisol helps to regulate that. And by the way, cortisol is also important for keeping your mind sharp, okay? Cognitive function is dependent on having a good control of cortisol. Now, you don't want too much cortisol, all right? If you have overdrive of any hormone, the functions of your organ go into overdrive. So you don't want too much cortisol, or your metabolism goes on overdrive, your blood pressure soars, and you can actually get mentally anxious as well. But if you have too little cortisol, if you're short on cortisol, then you're listless and your blood pressure bottoms out. Okay, so again, this is why balance is really important. You want just the right amount, and your body knows how to do this, but omega-3s is one of those substances, dietary factors from seafood or chia seeds and some plant-based foods that allow you to have that healthy hormonal balance. Now, one thing that also has omega-3s, seaweed. If you ever go to a sushi restaurant, go to the sushi bar, they might have on the menu a seaweed salad. That's called wakame, and that actually contains omega-3s. So order a seaweed salad with a little bit of sesame oil and sesame seeds on it. And the other thing is kelp. Kelp is sort of the big, thick, slippery seaweed. If you've ever gone to a beach and you see this big, gigantic leaves sitting on, dark-colored leaves sitting on the sand, they're pretty slippery. That's kelp. And kelp is also a good source of omega-3s. So you're like, I'm not going to be eating that off the beach. Well, actually, if you go get miso soup in a Japanese restaurant, okay, the little bowl of soup they serve you, it's usually got a little bit of tofu in it. It's a broth. It will have a little black square that is kelp. All right, if you go to an Asian store, you'll see that dried, and you can actually tear a page off the sushi restaurant playbook, and you can cut it up and soak it up and cook it into a soup yourself. And guess what? That contributes omega-3 fatty acids to you.
Including sources of omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, flax seeds, and walnuts in your diet can help maintain the fluidity of cell membranes, which is essential for the proper functioning of hormone receptors. This not only supports balanced hormone levels, but also aids in brain health by influencing the production of mood-regulating neurotransmitters like serotonin. As we've explored today, the foods you choose to include in your diet have a profound impact on hormonal health. By incorporating nutrient-rich proteins, colorful vegetables, mushrooms, avocados, and omega-3 fatty acids, you're giving your body the tools it needs to maintain hormone balance and promote overall well-being. Which of these hormone-balancing foods have you tried incorporating into your diet? Have you noticed any changes in your energy, mood, or overall health? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Or share a recipe that highlights these foods. We'd love to see how you're using them in your meals. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future videos, let us know. We're here to help you live your healthiest life. If you found this video valuable, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more practical tips on how to lead a healthier, more vibrant life. And if you're eager to learn more, check out this next video, where we dive even deeper into optimizing your health through nutrition.